Hi, welcome to Gene Rants. I'm Gene, and today, well, yeah, I guess you could partly call this a rant, but a lot of it is praise. I'm recording this on Friday afternoon, around noon, lunchtime, and earlier today, this morning, the Supreme Court issued a very important and momentous decision. Especially if you happen to be Donald Trump, but even, by extension, conservatives. It was about nationwide injunctions. And basically, the Supreme Court said that these lower courts, these district courts, cannot issue nationwide injunctions. Now, there may be some of you who don't know what a nationwide injunction is, but the way it's been working against Donald Trump, and in fairness, it's been used by conservatives in other cases against Democrat presidents, but very, very rare. And well, actually, the Pam Bondi, they just did there was a press conference, and Pam Bondi was at the Attorney General was at the press conference, and she, well, an amazing fact. There are 94 districts in the country. There have been 40 of these nationwide injunctions issued by district courts. Of those 40, uh, those 40 nationwide injunctions, 35 of that 40, they were issued in just 5 of these 94 districts. Basically, it's cherry picking. The way it works is this, and just in case somebody doesn't know, that what will happen is Trump will issue an executive order to do this or that or the other thing. Liberals won't like it. It will be something, in this case, it was about birthright citizenship, which actually it was a two-part case, because what happened was, well, let's get to what is a nationwide injunction. So what will happen is these Trump will issue an executive order, and then the Democrats or liberals will go, or radical leftists will cherry pick a judge in a particular, as I just said, 5 within 5, and such. We're talking about like New York and Massachusetts, all liberal areas, and Los Angeles, and they will go cherry pick these courts, bring a case there against, say, deporting. Well, in this case, it was birthright citizenship that Donald Trump believes, and that's what the main case is about. We'll get to that briefly, but that the birthright citizenship does not mean that the children of unlawful aliens, just because an unlawful alien comes over the border and gives birth in our country, that person is an American citizenship. It was really the 14th Amendment was designed to solve a problem at the end of the Civil War. I don't want to get too much up on that track. The point is that was a case. Trump was issuing executive orders based on that to deny birthright citizenship to certain people, certain babies born in this country, the children of unlawful aliens. So liberals went to one or another of these cherry-picked courts, liberal judges, and would get a judge, or in this case, got a judge to issue a nationwide injunction, saying that Trump could not deny birthright citizenship anywhere in the country. And the same thing with the deporting aliens and any number of things Trump would want to do that would be for the whole country. He's the president of the whole country. And one of these just lower court judges would issue a nationwide injunction that would stop the president from doing anything within the country. Now, what the court just said is you can't do that, which is obvious. If you read the Constitution, as everybody should, it says that the role of the courts is to decide cases and controversies before it, meaning their district. So that's what the court ruled. That's what Pam Bondi also explained. That, for instance, first of all, if say Trump were to order the deportation of an unlawful alien, and that unlawful alien wanted to challenge that or something, they could go to any court. They'd go to the court, but the judge could only issue a ruling on that case, that controversy, that person, and say, no, you cannot deport that. Well, actually, the case would have to be brought in that judge's district, and then it would apply to that district and that person, so, or that plaintiff. So it would say, okay, Mr. So-and-so, okay, the president cannot deport you, but it doesn't affect anybody else, and it doesn't stop Trump's ability to deport citizens from if Department of Homeland Security nabs an unlawful alien in another district. This judge has nothing to say about it. If the DHS nabs picks up, let's say, 200 people to deport them, every one of those would have to bring an individual case, and it would only apply in that district. But 200 people would have to bring 200 separate cases, that all of them would have to be adjudicated separately. No judge could issue, just say, President Trump, you cannot deport unlawful aliens, or unlawful aliens even in the same situation, in the same circumstances as this one person, this one plaintiff. Now, there is a way around it, she explained, or the decision explained, that you can, it is to do that if they wanted. It's like a lawsuit. If somebody, people get, I don't know, sick from eating something or other, and then people will sue, or for tobacco companies, let's say tobacco, that's a pretty good thing. People getting cancer from smoking, so lawyers put together a class action suit, but that is a very cumbersome process, and it would have to, the process, then a judge would have to allow it, but also, again, it would only, you would have to individually bring, as I understand it, I am not a lawyer could probably help me on this, but that it would still, you could not just bring a class action suit for anybody who has ever smoked a cigarette, for instance, if we're talking, and gotten cancer. I think you have to name all. I could actually, I think I'm wrong on that. Anyway, it's a very cumbersome process. For all practical purposes, the era of nationwide injunctions is over. Trump is free to implement his policies within the Constitution and within the law. Of course, some things have to be done by law and have to be enacted by Congress and then signed by the president. But many executive orders are legal. That's our system. We have. That's what somebody asked at this press conference: is this giving the president too much power? Is it making him too? Our country, our system, we're not a parliamentary system where the parliament decides everything. The prime minister has very limited powers. We very wisely created the concept of the energetic or vigorous executive. We have three equal branches, and there's certain things. For instance, Trump firing somebody in his administration. This has been one of these, more than one of these injunctions where a court will say, no, President Trump, you cannot you cannot fire people or disband certain departments and something like that. And maybe, again, I'm not a lawyer. Maybe that doesn't fall within the rubric of the of nationwide injunctions, but it does fall within the rubric of separation of powers. Can the President of the United States order a senator or a representative to fire one of his staffers? No, of course not. So what makes the Congress think that they could pass a law, that they could order, or a court could, well, that's a better example, could these district courts, can the President of the United States, one of these district courts, and say, okay, fire your clerk? Can President do that? No. So the President cannot tell a judge whom to hire and fire in his under his purview. And the same thing with the president. The president is the executive. We have the executive branch, and the president can hire and fire. That should be just obvious. And I'll just throw in a word here that the idea. This court, it was actually a two-part decision. This is for part one. Part two comes, I believe, in October. And part one was this idea. What happened was Trump nationwide injunctions, right? So a judge issued a nationwide injunction against Trump's ability to deny birthright, deny citizenship to certain babies born in the United States. And the question decided today was whether a judge could issue a nationwide injunction against the practice for the whole country. One judge out of I think there's 670 judges. Just do we really want a system where the president needs a unanimous decision from 670 district judges to do something? Obviously not. But cases would have to be brought individually, but that still leaves the question of birthright citizenship, whether every American born in whether unlawful aliens, people brought into the country illegally, their children, whether their children become American citizens. And that will be actually an interesting question. Would that be retroactive to babies who are already given or considered to be given citizenship or considered to be citizenships? Do those citizenships get revoked? I don't know. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but on the question of birthright citizenship, for me, the answer is very obvious. But we'll see what the Supreme Court says, because what happened was at the end of the Civil War, you had former slaves, and were they citizens or not? Okay, were the former slave citizens? And then you have there were free black people. Are they citizens? That was the question. So to solve the problem, the Congress enacted the 14th Amendment that said, well, we'll just say everybody born in the United States is an American citizen. But what's obvious to me is, the clause of the 14th Amendment does not say every person that shall be born or to be born in the United States will be. It does not say any person that will be born in the United States will be an American citizen. Future tense. It says every person. I don't remember the exact language, but it's present tense. Every person born in the United States or who was born in the United States. In other words, on the date, every person who was not a United States citizen, born in the United States, as of the date of the enactment of the amendment, is an American citizen. It does not extend to people born later, people who were not slaves or free blacks. We'll see what the Supreme Court says. I just wanted to get my opinion in there, so I don't have to do a separate vlog on it, though I very likely will when the decision comes down. I'll be interested to see what it says. But also, so it was partly a rant, now a little praise here, I guess. Well, number one, to the Supreme Court, but also, thank God, Trump, three of those Supreme Court, it was another 6-3 decision where the three liberal justices were on one side and the conservative justices on the other side, with a 6. Roberts and Barrett are a little bit iffy sometimes, but we'll just lump them in with the conservatives. And they were the ones on the 6 side of the 6-3 decision. It's always the liberals. So imagine if we had a 6-3 liberal majority on that court. then the decision would have gone the other way, and then you would have all these lower courts just willy-nilly at will be able to stop the president from doing whatever he wants, or that would be the worst case scenario. The best case scenario, in that, had this decision go the other way, would be that every case, there's maybe one reason why they, even if not stated in the opinion, I haven't read it, but obviously you're going to have a Supreme Court that would be flooded with, every time the president issued an executive order that somebody didn't like, they would go to a court, and conservatives could do the same thing, and they very probably would, after what what liberals have done to a Republican president. So these courts, you would have who knows how many universal injunctions, and all of those would get appealed up through the court, up to the federal court, the circuit court, and then up through that to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would eventually be getting all these cases, and they can't take all of them. So on the one hand, they'd be overloaded with these cases. On the other hand, there would be so many cases they would not be able to take without issuing a nationwide ruling on the general principle of nationwide injunctions, which they just did. They would get each of these cases individually, but the ones they didn't take would, so a lot of these injunctions would be upheld by default. So that's my thought for, my thoughts, my rants, whatever you want to call them for today. I was calling this my thoughts for the day. If you're only just arriving now, and actually the day before I'm recording this, I changed it to Gene Rants because, well, let's be honest, that's what I do most of the time. And what you can do, if you have any opinion, there's an opinion, comment section below the video. If you could subscribe, this is it for today. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.